Hey, Joshua, good to see you. Now, the left has been accusing conservatives of banning books in school libraries, conveniently leaving out the fact that these books are actually really pornographic and age-inappropriate material that are pulled from the shelves. Well, it turns out that if anybody is banning books, it might be our friends on the left. They made clear in a school up in Canada that underwent an equitable curation cycle for books in its library. Tell us a bit more about that.
That's right. So this happened in a school district outside of Toronto. Several high schools in the district essentially had most of their books removed. Students came back from the summer break and found empty shelves. One student estimated about 50% of books were gone. And what essentially happened is the libraries, the librarians threw out every book published before 2008.
Did they say why?
There were like a chain of events that led up to this. Essentially, it began when the education minister for the Canadian province of Ottawa told the school district that it had to be woker. And so they created this equitable curation cycle that had certain requirements where they had to remove books that weren't inclusive and didn't fit with the curriculum. And it seems the librarians misinterpreted it in a way, but really tipped the hand that this is the end goal of where Marxist education takes you, is any book that doesn't fit with whatever we say is okay now gets thrown out.
Now, you say they cleared off every book prior to 2008. Now, is that a coincidence? Was there something magical about 2008, or did their evaluation of this literature conclude that nothing previous to 2008 was woke enough for today?
So the guidance told the librarians to evaluate every book published prior to 2008 according to certain criteria. And it seems like perhaps the librarians misinterpreted their guidance and just threw out every book prior to 2008. But the multi-step process that they were going to go through included, for example, an anti-racist audit and an audit to make sure that their books were representative of the students in their school. And so many of those books that might have seemed inoffensive might have been thrown out anyways.
Now, it's interesting when you use the term an anti-racist audit there, and that, of course, is a buzzword on the left, anti-racism. What that makes me think is not only did they want, they don't just want books to teach true things that might be helpful, that they actually need to be advocacy, because anti-racism on the left is the act of opposing things that they want you to oppose. So are they now evaluating literature to make sure that the literature is making the kinds of political statements that they want to be made?
I think they are evaluating literature with an anti-racist audit. It's hard for that to mean anything else. And in multiple places, the directive also told them to make sure that the books on the library shelves corresponded with the education goals of the schools. Now we know that there are parents all across Canada rising up and saying enough is enough with this woke education. So we know that Canadian schools are at least as woke as American schools and what they're teaching children. So we know that their education goals have to be pretty far out there, which would take away, a lot of the classics, Homer and Shakespeare. That doesn't fit with a woke agenda.
Well, it takes out basically all literature. And again, I think you noted that everything prior to 2008 has been essentially erased from the school shelves. And that kind of makes sense because anti-racism is really a new concept as they understand it. So, of course, Shakespeare was not writing things that were anti-racist because he didn't even understand what the concept was. That does seem dangerous. In the last segment, we went to the UK and talked about the thought crime prosecution that was taking place, though thankfully dropped. But the UK's different understanding of free speech than we have here in the United States. Now our friends to the north in Canada are giving us an understanding of where this kind of literature censorship, the curriculum concerns that we have here in the United States about pornographic material are fair. But what we see here in Canada is what could be coming is they're going to demand, unless parents and citizens hold the line, they're going to demand that the literature is affirmatively indoctrinating, as if that wasn't happening enough.
Right, and it's coming here too. Basically what Canada did is put wokeism into the library system. Now libraries weed all the time. They get rid of damaged books or moldy books or books that aren't being checked out. But this is inserting wokeism into that library system. And with an American Library Association president who is a self-professed Marxist lesbian, you can easily see how that, apart from the political system, will make it its way into American libraries.
Joshua Arnold, thanks for your time today.
Thank you.